Institutions are here. I mean, there are institutions that own the asset. We have institutional investors in our funds. There are institutions that own things like GBTC. But the big adoption wave is still coming. I mean, we are just at the knee of the curve. If you think about an S curve. So the way an S curve works, it's a 30-year cycle for any new technology. The first decade, you get the first 10%. Think about that. 10 years, you get 10%. In that next decade, you get 80%. I mean, it just literally goes parabolic.
Prominent hedge fund manager and digital asset enthusiast Mark Yusko believes we are now in the second phase of cryptocurrency adoption, where trillions of dollars are poised to flood the space. According to Yusko, the initial decade of cryptocurrency adoption was driven by retail investors, particularly early adopters. However, he acknowledges that their resources are limited and insufficient to carry the industry through the next phase. He anticipates that the upcoming wave of adoption will be monumental, a sentiment shared by former Goldman Sachs executive Raoul Pal, who predicts the total crypto market capitalization will reach at least $10 trillion as more institutional investors enter the market. Pal suggests that family offices, known for their higher risk tolerance, are likely to lead the way in investing in Bitcoin and other top cryptocurrencies. He believes that institutions are well prepared for entry, having completed their due diligence, and only await confirmation of price stability before joining the crypto market. Powell expects institutions to drive the market far beyond its 2021 all-time high of $3 trillion, as retail investors alone cannot sustain the pace of adoption. In a separate interview, Mark Yusko concurs with Powell's $10 trillion estimate for the crypto market capitalization and offers insights on institutional adoption and cryptocurrency regulation in the United States.
Please take a moment to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to drop your comment and observations in the comment section below. Thanks and enjoy the video.
S-curve adoption that we're about to see, part of it is going to be clarity, regulatory clarity, and we got to get these bozos. I shouldn't call the guy who regulates me a bozo, but he kind of is. And we need the people who have, I'll call, bad motives. Operation Choke Point and all that good stuff. We need them out. And what we need is the acknowledgement that this is a global phenomenon, that this technological innovation, as we go from trust to truth, it's in 800 years coming. Think about that. This is an 800-year process. But it's going to happen, right? We're going to replace trust with truth. And I'll give you the quick example of this. So Scott Stornetta, who is the most cited guy in the Bitcoin white paper, if you go to the back and you read the footnotes, 3 of the 8 footnotes are his work. He and his partner were the founders. They were the co-fathers of blockchain technology. They literally had, hey, we have these blocks of information. We can chain them into, they created it. So I was talking to Scott and he said, I said, when did you have this epiphany? He said, well, I was thinking about it. And it went something like this, that if you think about how you trust people, right? Let's say I lent you money, Abs. I would need Johnny to arbitrate, right? That it was a fair transaction, right? The Bank of Johnny. Well, but Johnny's corruptible. I could bribe him a little something to get him to say that, hey, Abs, you borrowed 200 when you only borrowed 100. So we need Ellie to look over Johnny's shoulder. Oh, but she's corruptible. So then we need someone to look over Ellie's shoulder. He said, it turns out you need the whole world to look over the shoulder. Well, wait a second. I can do that with blockchain. And so instead of having the Medicis and the Rothschilds at the center of all of this, and the banking system, which skims, think about this, they skim $7 trillion a year. The trust system takes $7 trillion from all of us so that we can have audits and verified bank accounts and all that good stuff. We don't need that anymore. Blockchain, crypto, eliminates that because we replace trust with truth. So we don't need Johnny to look over our shoulder and Ellie to look over Johnny's shoulder and everyone else on this call to look over each other's shoulder. We have trust. I mean, we have truth. We have permanent, immutable truth in a blockchain. And when Scott said that in this podcast we recorded, it's like, oh my God, that's exactly it. And so this isn't going away. And the regulators can bitch and moan all they want, but this technology is here to stay. And it changes the way we all interact and exchange value for the rest of our days. Let's think about what regulation is. It's rules created by who? Powerful, who are installed by whom? The incumbents. So let's think about how regulation happens. Initial regulation is created to preserve the status quo, to protect those in power, to keep the gravy train running. So the initial regulation stifles innovation. We don't want your stinking innovation. We're perfectly happy collecting our $7 trillion a year in grift. We don't want truth. We like trust. Trust is good. We're in charge of trust. So the regulation will always start to inhibit.
On Tuesday, the United States Court of Appeals for the District of Columbia Circuit handed down a favorable ruling in the case of Grayscale Investments against the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission. Grayscale had petitioned the courts for a review after the SEC rejected its application to convert GBTC into a spot ETF on June 29, 2022. After approximately 14 months and numerous court appearances, Grayscale emerged victorious. The cryptocurrency asset management firm announced this significant development on its official social media account, stating, "The DC Circuit ruled 3-1 in favor of Grayscale and GBTC. This is a monumental step forward for all who have been advocating for Bitcoin exposure through the added protections of the ETF wrapper." This victory was warmly received by Bitcoin investors, leading to a surge of over 7% in the cryptocurrency's value, with its price surpassing $28,000 for the first time in 2 weeks. Many view these positive outcomes as early indicators of what lies ahead once the SEC ultimately approves the spot Bitcoin ETF. Now, let's return to Yusko's interview as he delves into the 2 phases of crypto regulation and outlines what we can expect in each phase.
My dad was a cable guy. I mean, literally, he had this small cable operation, and John Malone went to Washington and paid a lot of money to get a law passed that made cable TV have to be addressable. What does that mean? That meant every cable system had to be two-directional. Well, if you're a small cable operator, you don't have any money. You don't make enough money to do that. So what happened? They all went bust. John came in and bought them for pennies on the dollar. And magically, the law got lifted after he bought it, and no one had to become addressable, because that's how it works. And so this idea that someone is going to come in with an intelligent regulatory plan to make it easier to adopt a technology that's going to disrupt an entire industry. Remember the bill? Al Gore, right? Didn't invent the internet, right? But he did save the internet. Believe it or not, he's actually really important. Why? Because the phone companies, AT&T and Verizon, which were the number 1 and 2 lobbying firms, lobbying just a technical term for corruption, okay? They lobbied really hard to get a bill passed that would have made the internet, to make doing what we're doing right now, right? Which we are using voice over internet protocol. We are communicating for free. That used to be $3 a minute, long distance charges. Okay, we're doing it for free. They passed a bill that would have made that illegal in the United States. The internet would have been illegal. And Al Gore's like, "Are you kidding me? This is stupid. No, we're not gonna pass that." And he was the deciding vote that said, "No, we're not gonna pass that." So that's a long-winded way of saying regulation will eventually be positive, because it will be positive when crypto has flushed out the old, and crypto then is ensconced as the better technology, which it is. Then the regulation will be the incumbent, and the thing that comes 30, 40, 50, whatever years from now in the next cycle, then we'll fight it. So we've talked about this before. First, they ignore you, 2009 to 15, bunch of nerds and geeks playing with their magic internet money. We don't care. Then they laugh at you, 15 to 21. Nerds and geeks, magic internet money, stupid. Then they fight you, 22 to 27. They're going to fight, and they're going to fight hard. But 27, you win. And I will argue the fact that we're all here today, we've already won. And that's cool.
Mark Yusko suggests that the current environment of heightened legal battles and contentious debates surrounding cryptocurrency regulation in the United States represents just the initial phase of regulation. He views this as a signal that the traditional banking industry, custodians of the established trust system, is resisting the rise of the cryptocurrency industry. Despite their ongoing struggle against this inevitable change, Yusko predicts that even more stringent regulations will emerge, but he foresees a shift in 2027. In this pivotal year, Yusko believes we will witness the conclusion of what he terms the fight phase. Instead of regulations that hinder growth and innovation, he anticipates a regulatory landscape that fosters and nurtures the cryptocurrency industry. What are your thoughts on Mark Yusko's interview and his predictions for the cryptocurrency industry? Please share your comments and observations in the comments section below. For more Daily Dose Crypto news, check out these 2 awesome videos on your screen. Click now and we will see you on the next video.